Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be finally talking about Etalus in Rivals of Aether 2. Now, this video isn't really going to be a tutorial as much as it is a first impression. Just what are the pros and cons of this character, some of the stuff that he is able to get away with, and how good do I think he's going to be early on in the meta. I will be probably making a tutorial video in a couple days, but let's just get right into it. So first things first with Etalus, let's talk about his ice mechanic, and there's kind of three main points to the ice mechanic. You're going to be able to get armor from it as well as shards, and you take less knockback when you have armor, which is obviously very nice. Then you're going to have the mechanic where if your opponent is standing on the ice and you down beat them, they get frozen, and you are able to get some really easy follow-ups right there. And honestly, the main use of the ice would just be making Etalus like better in neutral, in my opinion, because as it stands right now, this character is just extremely slow. Even when I am wave dashing, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm a little bit rusty here, my wave dashes are kind of garbage right now, but he's just not a very fast character in the neutral. It's really hard for him to make up that space, but when you have a little bit of ice applied, all of a sudden making up that distance is no longer that big of a deal, because Etalus just like slides. As you can see right there, you can just do a baby dash, or if you do a wave dash, he's able to get a ton of distance. And if you do a wave dash with like an aerial, not an aerial, but a tilt, like a down tilt or something, you're able to just be coming at your opponent with this really big hitbox, F tilt as well, making the ice go big, up tilt, all your strong attacks as well. Like, this just makes Etalus burst range so much scarier compared to when there isn't ice on the ground and his burst range is like that. Like, it is just a really big difference from Etalus ice on the ground and Etalus not ice on the ground. So if you want to actually pick up this character, I wouldn't even recommend trying to learn his combos first. The first thing that I would recommend is learning how to consistently get ice on the ground and actually get value out of it as the Etalus player in neutral, because that's going to be something that is very, very important for him. Ending Fruit Block here, I was just completely wrong about how this character's dash attack works, because you're able to not only jump out of dash attack, but you can also confirm it into up strong, or rather cancel it into up strong. Now, you can't cancel it into forward strong or down strong or jab or grab or anything else like that. It's just going to be into either up strong or into a jump, but this makes it so it is just like way better as a movement tool than I rated as. Just coming at your opponent with the ability to just jump literally whenever you want, and like as he's sliding is so strong there, just giving you yet another mix-up as a sliding Etalus player. So just something that I want to clear up throughout this video. I'll probably continue saying that dash attack isn't something that you're really going to be able to get value out of, and that's just completely incorrect. You're able to jump cancel it, you're able to cancel it into an up strong. I was just dumb. Moving on to the throws from Etalus, and I would say that all of Etalus's throws are going to be something that you are able to get value out of. Now, down throw, I would say, is the worst one, because it depends the most on opponent DI, and also doesn't really start working until mid-percent, and if the opponent just DIs it out fully, you're going to have a very hard time converting off it. But up throw, on the other hand, it's going to be really hard to fully just DI away as the opponent and escape this scenario. You get such a good follow-off off it, as well into really any of Etalus's good combo aerials like back air or neutral air. Forward throw is also going to be a combo tool. Again, this one is a little bit more dependent on DI. I would recommend going for up throw if you wanted to combo throw, but in like this exact situation right here, forward throw isn't the worst idea in the world. Send that opponent off stage already. And the final one is going to be back throw, and this is just going to be like a pretty strong kill throw for Etalus. Nothing crazy, but also nothing weak by any means. So Etalus's grabs overall, I would definitely say are good. I do believe that up throw is definitely going to be the one that he's getting a majority of value out of. There's just so much potential there, but you can absolutely use all of the throws to get value. Next thing I want to talk about with Etalus is how to properly use his down air, because something that I think is going to be very important is popping the opponent up in the air, whether it's like a nair, up tilt, back air, and then using an up air to get them on the ground, and then going for a tech chase. And you are able to pop the opponents up in the air with down air as Etalus if you tech chase, but only if you do the down air correctly. If you hit with the first or second hit of down air, the opponent is not going to get popped up in the air. They're just going to get spiked to the ground, because as you can see, Etalus kind of pulls them up when he is doing this aerial. So technically right now they're in the air and they get spiked onto the stage, but if you just hit them with the third hit of it, then they're on the stage when they get hit by it, and that way they're actually able to get spiked, and you are able to bounce people up and down. So if you are not getting value out of Etalus down there and you can't figure out why, that's why. It's because you're hitting those first initial hits. If you want this move to spike against the stage, you just have to hit that final hit, and then you're going to be able to get your follow-ups after it. Another thing that I want to say about Etalus is he feels like a lot more of a traditional heavy in the way that he's taking his swings against Crag or Locksnot, for example, because Crag and Locksnot are kind of just able to throw out aerials without really thinking about it. In my opinion, for Locksnot, you've got moves like Nair, moves like forward air that just control so much space or have great frame data, jab as well, forward tilt. You can just kind of do that move without really thinking about it. For Crag, it's like, you know, the entire kit. But with Etalus, you have like back air, which is obviously very autopilot. You've got your Nair, which you can definitely just throw out. But aside from that, I would say that this character is a lot more committal in his decisions. Even when he has the ice on the ground and his burst range gets significantly better, you still don't have the amazing frame data after the move the opponent manages to anticipate it. So I think this is a really good game design thing for the just general direction, I guess, of Etalus. He doesn't feel like a character that is going to be spamming a ton. Again, aside from this back air, that is definitely a move that you are going to have to get used to. But outside of that, he feels a lot more like an actual heavy archetype than the other two characters do, and I really appreciate that. The final thing I want to talk about with Etalus before we get on to the pros and cons is going to be how you're able to get value out of his up B, because this up B is honestly just like a really good get off me tool, just escaping from wherever you are. You can immediately wave land it as well on the platform, immediately double jump out of it, immediately aerial out of it. You have all of your options the second that you up B. It's literally just basically a jump with a hitbox attached to it, and if you do it near your opponent at lower percents, it's not going to do anything, but once they get past 60%, it's going to actually pop them up in the air, and as Etalus, you're able to get some pretty nasty conversions off of it. And honestly, that's not even the best part, because this is a amazing edge guarding tool. As you can see, it's just so strong, and since it doesn't put Etalus into free fall, he is able to just, you know, go really low, use his up B, and even if he doesn't grab the ledge, he can then wall jump and use his up B again for a second spike, and he's almost always going to get back to this stage. So using up B as an aggressive tool is something that you are going to absolutely need to do as Etalus if you want to get the max value out of this character, because it's honestly just super strong and also a really nice disengaging tool. Actually, before we get into the pros and cons really quickly, I do want to mention that if you hold forward air, you are able to choose the timing of this move until Etalus actually pulls out that forward air. This acts as a shield, so you actually are able to block projectiles, block aerials coming in, and then whenever you want to swing, you just let go of that button. So really cool move. Just thought I should point that out. And now I'm going to move on to the pros and cons for Etalus, but if you enjoyed that stuff that I was talking about earlier, in the next couple days, I'll probably make a tutorial for Etalus, and that's just going to be an entire video like that, so be sure to sub if you are interested in that. Even if you aren't, I still implore you to sub. But pros and cons for Etalus. The first one is going to be his edge guarding. I think is tier 1. I think he's got some of the best edge guarding in the entire game. Not only because he has this lingering move in forward where he's able to pick the timing of when he actually wants to let it rip. I think that's something that's going to be really strong from just having that as an option, but also just the fact that he has 3 spikes, and he is going to be very good at consistently setting up the opponent into a position where they are going to get spiked, whether it is with his down air, whether it is with up air. Up air is usually probably the position that's going to send people up into the spike, but then after that down air, or that up air rather, people can go for a down air, they can go for a second up air, they can go for an up B. He just has so much potential off stage, and as I alluded to earlier, when you are edge guarding with up B, you are able to make it back from the depths of hell. Etalus has a ton of horizontal distance there, so that, or vertical distance there, I should say, not an issue at all. So no matter where the opponent is off stage, Etalus is absolutely going to be able to contest them with a really strong hitting forward air, or also with a spike from either up B or down air. Again, it's probably going to be from up B if they're really deep, because down air has a pretty decent amount of end leg attached to it, but just the fact that he has that many options, I think makes him really lethal. And with good edge guarding also comes good killing. Naturally, just because the opponents are dying off stage a lot of time. But even if Etalus isn't able to secure that edge guard, you're going to have moves like forward air just start exploding people at 120%. All of his strong attacks are incredibly good at getting the job done. So Etalus has no problem when it comes to securing that stock. It may be a little bit harder for you if your edge guarding is just really bad. You prefer to stay on stage, go for the ledge traps. Again, I don't think that's how you're supposed to play the character, but you are able to still make that work, because the strong attacks that he does have also have these massive hitboxes attached to them. So if you throw them out, there is a pretty decent chance they're going to hit. And I've got 2 final pros for Etalus. The first one is his weight, pretty self-explanatory. He's just got better longevity than most, but the second one is, again, going to be this ice mechanic for him. I already touched on it earlier, how you're going to be able to get value from it, but just making your burst range from pretty small to literally the entire stage with dash attack. But even without dash attack, if you just go for a waveland, you can just waveland menacingly at the opponents. Even without the waveland, just the little slide that Etalus has is nice, but with that waveland, you get so much more potential coming in with a grab, coming in with a strong attack. So this is something that is massive for Etalus. It is really, really important for his kit, and if you're not able to utilize it, you're honestly just not utilizing the character to the fullest extent. So Ice is like the biggest pro that I can give to Etalus. Super important mechanic for him. Next up is going to be the cons of Etalus, and the first one I think is going to be his recovery. Now, obviously, he's got amazing vertical distance. He doesn't go into free fall after his up B, so he's able to jump, air dodge, you know, touch the wall, go for his second up B, do whatever he wants. He should make it back, right? Well, in reality, he's going to be contested very easily because he has no vertical movement aside from his jump, but it's gonna be like a very easy jump to clip, especially if the player elects to go for an up B this low. Like, you're gonna have a lot of time to react as the person going for the edge guard there. So if you can clip the Etalus player's jump, they just lose so much of their movement off stage. And I don't think Etalus is ever going to be a character where he physically doesn't make it back to the stage like Loxodon or Zetterburn. I don't think that's going to be the case. What I do think is going to be the case is that he just takes like 90 or 80% before he makes it back to the stage, and he won't even make it back to the ledge. He'll probably just like manage to skip the ledge, completely get back to center stage, but it's not going to be without a ton of damage done to him because he is just very linear when he is recovering. Like, yeah, you can mix up the timing and how far you go on that up B, but at the end of the day, you are still going up in either right or left, and it's probably going to be right very slowly since you're heading back to this stage. So I think that's definitely going to be a really big issue for Etalus. He's just going to be bullied on his way back to the stage. He should still be able to make it back if his stock isn't stolen, but it's a problem. Another thing that I think could be a bit of a con for Loxodon is just the fact that putting ice on the ground sets him up for a punish, especially if side B isn't an effective way to actually get ice on the ground. Like this stage, for example, it's really hard to actually get the icicles to touch the stage. You gotta angle it like super specific. I don't even know if you can get the icicles to touch the stage. They might just hit the platform, so you have to go for something like an up B or an F tilt, and that is something the opponent can recognize and they can punish. And this is something that you really need to set up as the player of Etalus. So it's gonna be kind of one of those situations where in the neutral, you might just have to win neutral while disadvantaged not having ice on the ground to properly apply ice to the ground on certain stages, which I definitely think could be a bit of a hindrance for this character, just making it so he is a worse character until he actually wins neutral, and then he's only a bit better in the neutral for like 6-7 seconds before he can again actually apply it. And I just think that's something that consistently reapplying for Etalus on certain stages is going to be pretty difficult, especially against those rundown characters. And the final con for Etalus is going to be the fact that at the end of the day, he is still a big body character. Comboing him is going to be a lot easier than comboing someone like Maple or Fleet. And I think his disadvantage might be a little bit better than the other heavies just because he still does have up B as an option. But again, it's not like after this up B, he's got a birth of ranges that he can go to. He can slam down quickly with a down, and that's not really the best get off B tool in my opinion. Maybe fast falling with a nair or back air is what he ends up resulting. But I think his disadvantage should be a little bit better than the other heavies, but still bad. He's still a heavy at the end of the day, and he is going to be exploited there. And with all of that being said, it's finally time to talk about why you clicked on this video. How good is Etalus? He is the 11th best character in the game. Now, notice how I didn't say he is the worst character in the game, because I don't think that Etalus is bad. This is Rivals of Aether 2. Everyone else is just kind of insane, and I think the big issues for Etalus right now are obviously going to be he's just not hitting as hard as everyone else, and obviously he isn't hitting as hard as everyone else. No one has really figured out his combo game, but even when people figure out his combo game, I don't think that Etalus is going to be a character that has true combos that are hitting for like 60, 70, 80%. You're not really going to have that. You're going to have some follow-ups, you're going to have tech chases that are really strong with him, but that's where he's going to be getting a lot of his damage, not from the true combos in my opinion. And also the fact that he just has the worst neutral in the game. Unless ice is on the ground, then it actually gets pretty decent, but you have to set up your neutral being absolutely not horrible, which I think is really, really bad for him, especially early on for the character. It's going to be pretty difficult for Etalus players to find success. So as it stands right now, I do think that Etalus is the worst character in the game. He's a heavy, it's really easy to exploit him, and it's pretty difficult for him to actually exploit you because his movement is so bad, and I think that is definitely going to be a limiting factor for him. Can he do it? Yes, absolutely. It's Rivals. Anyone can do it, and he hits hard enough where it's absolutely justified to try to learn this character, but I don't think that he is going to be an instant character that people are able to pick up and they're just starting to, like, top 8 majors out of nowhere. He shouldn't be carrying people, maybe a little bit at the start because he's a heavy and people are just bad against heavies, but after the first, like, week or two, this isn't going to be a character that is, like, hard boosting people's results. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The sport has been absolutely unreal as of late. If there's anything I left out, got wrong, or if you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub while you're down there. Again, I will probably be making a tutorial for this character within the next couple days, so be sure to look out for that. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!